Okay, another thing to remember. Let's see here. How about Angelo?
Hello, my name is Angelo Ragland. I'm the youngest of the CC member, and I'm heading to UNM.
Okay, and then Ron?
My name is Ron Hobgewachs. I live in Nob Hill. I've been a member of, actually a founding member of the Community Policing Councils when it was first started in 2014. And I will continue to serve to the point that we have a sufficient number of people to be serving on the Policing Council, but I've been very active with the Policing Council. And until COVID hit, we did ride-alongs with police officers on various calls and things like that. So I'm very happy to be here and join you all in this webinar and this discussion this evening.
Let's see. We'll wait a second for Samuel to get logged in. Samuel, if you can hear us, go ahead and unmute yourself, and we'll try to let you introduce yourself as you get your video going.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Gustavo Gomez with the Albuquerque Police Department. I work in the Internal Affairs Force Division. And thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Samuel, still not able to get hooked up with the video and audio, I guess. Let's do this. We have Sergeant Juarez and Laura Chavez.
Bueno.
So
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, I'm sorry. It's because I have really bad Wi-Fi connection at home. So I'm having a hard time. But hi, you guys. My name is Samuel Nevares. I'm one of your council members here for the Southeast Command Center. Thank you guys for being here.
Okay, how about Sergeant Juarez and Laura Chavez with Crimes Against Children Unit?
Hi, I'm Tara Juarez. I am the sergeant with the Albuquerque Police Department Crimes Against Children's Unit.
Laura, are you able to introduce yourself? Usually I'm watching the chat and Q&A as things are going. So right. Like I said, leading edge experiment with baptism by fire tonight. How about those of you here in person? Let's see if they can hear you and see you as you speak. Just introduce yourselves as, you know, the first people to try to help us with this hybrid meeting experiment. Go ahead, Sandra.
So my name is Sandra Correa, and I am the president of Albuquerque Homestead.
How was the audio on that?
Okay. It was breaking up a little for me.
Let's try John Comstock. So I think you're beyond the 18 feet radius. So John, how about introducing yourself?
Hi, I'm John Comstock. I'm also with the Neighborhood Association, Parkland Association, and also an organization called Parkland Village that help
So those of you who are panelists, how did the audio turn up on that?
I couldn't hear her.
Yeah, I couldn't hear either.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is if you want to speak, and I would invite you, we've got plenty of spaces here to be socially distanced and be within speaking range. Yeah, come on up. As you are comfortable. You know, I'm not here to dictate how this works. We need to experiment. Okay. So go ahead and introduce yourselves again really quickly, and then we'll press on.
My name is Sandra Correa, and I'm the president of Albert Homestead Neighborhood Association.
Okay, thumbs up.
My name is Edgar Avila. I'm the center manager here at Cesar Chavez Community Center.
My name is Carl Shank. I'm a member of the community. I live on St. Clair, just off Gerard.
I'm from southern of Monroe, Southeast. Parkland Hills, also Parkland Village, open seniors age place. I worked at Highland High School for 12 years.
That was much harder to hear.
Hey, Mike, yeah, I'm having a lot of trouble of hearing what the people that are there at the community center are saying. The volume is really, really weak.
Okay. So we'll do some more experiments, and if you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Joseph Vasquez, and I'm a member of Violence Prevention Program. Thank you, Garcia.
Is that better? Okay. It should be good.
Okay, I was going to suggest that we modify the agenda to give Commander Langwood some time up front, since he has to leave by 7 o'clock, but he's apparently tied up. And so we'll go ahead. For those of you out there joining us virtually by Zoom, we have been inviting you to speak your mind, ask questions at appropriate points by simply raising your hand. Kelly will be watching to see that you're interested in being on camera and on audio. I think that we can do that at any point instead of waiting until the very end. So when there are questions to be asked of the presenters, that we go ahead and allow people to do that, be shown on camera, promoted to panelists, unless they simply want to put it into Q&A for comments. Is that okay with you?
That's
okay. Others, any other comments, CPC members?
Sounds fine with me, Mike.
Okay, I can't see what's going on because I'm not looking at a computer screen. Okay, so just be cordial.
Mike, you might ask the people online to introduce them, to say their name, because I can't read the name. I mean, of the ones that have their picture up there, that I can't read the names.
Whoops. Uh-oh. That's why we thought we'd be here a half an hour early, get all of this stuff tested out, and
we didn't take into account any cord disconnect.
That's right. Okay.
It was still on the computer the whole time.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let's go ahead and just press on with the agenda as originally circulated. Does anybody on the CPC have any amendments that they'd like to make, or do we need to vote on it?
I move that we move with the agenda.
Any second?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor, say, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, at least 5 out of 7 said yes. Okay, so Lieutenant Gomez, you're up.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to give you guys the following presentation. I'm about to share my screen. In a second here. Are you guys able to see that, or no, it doesn't appear so?
No.
I apologize. Give me a second here.
Joseph, what did you say your last name was, please?
Okay, are you guys able to hear me?
Yes. Yeah,
okay, ma'am, are you able to see the screen?
No.
No, cannot see the screen.
Can you?
Okay.
Can't see the screen.
Can one of the council members put his email and the address? I can't put it on the screen while I'm doing this. And he can send it to you, and you can put it on screen. Angela, put your email in chat. Lieutenant Gomez will send it to you, and you can put it on the screen. How about that? We'll try that.
So Lieutenant Gomez,
Good.
can you speak without the flashcards? Go ahead and start talking with us.
Okay.
So there's his email. If you can shoot it there really quickly, we can get it on. Oh, there we go.
Okay, are you guys able to see it?
Yes.
We can see your screen.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yay.
All right. All right. Once again, I'm Lieutenant Gustavo Gomez. I work with the Albuquerque Police Department. I've been in law enforcement for about 20 years now. And it's my pleasure to give you the following presentation. So this is going to be regarding the IMR 15 that just recently came out. So let's go through it. Okay, so, you know, the independent monitoring team is composed of the following parties. We have the independent monitor, who's Dr. James Ginger. The team members are composed of Mr. Phil Coyne, Mr. Dan Giaquinto, Dr. Laura Cunard, Mr. Rick Naselis, Mr. Albert Crick, Mr. Stephen Rickman, Dr. William Toms, and Mr. David Torres. And if you'd like to get a copy of the IMR 15, we can easily download it going through the city website at cabq.gov. And this is the link. So the CASA, the settlement agreement, is divided into the following sections. We have the use of force, specialized units, crisis intervention, policies and training, misconduct, complaint intake, investigation and adjudication, staffing, management and supervision, recruitment, selection and promotions, officer assistance and support, and community engagement and oversight. So there's a total of 344 paragraphs in the CASA, and 276 of them are measurable for compliance. There's 3 levels of compliance. You have the primary level compliance, which deals with policy and procedures. The second level is training. And then you have the operational, which deals with daily operations. So on this chart, what we have is the IMR comparison from IMR 1 all the way to 15. As you can see from IMR 14 and 15, we have actually maintained a 100% compliance under primary compliance. And we've actually maintained that 100% compliance since IMR 8, which is about 2 years ago. From IMR 14 to IMR 15, we actually made a huge increase from 82% to 99%. This is mainly due to the use of force, supervisor training, and also that PEMS, which is a performance evaluation monitoring system. So these trainings have helped us increase that to 99% at this time. And as far as the operational compliance, we went up from 62% to 70%. And that's mainly due to the progress related to the OBRD and the training. So as you can see, these numbers are actually the biggest increased numbers that we have seen so far since IMAR started back in IMAR 1. So let's dig deeper into the IMAR 14. So when IMAR 14 came out, our primary compliance still is at 100%. Secondary compliance was 82%, and the operational compliance was 62%. And if we break it down, we have the use of force category, which had about an 8% increase in compliance. Specialized units retained no change. So they maintained a no change whatsoever. Crisis intervention had a 4% increase in compliance. Policies and procedures maintained no change. Misconduct complaint intake and investigation and adjudication, that actually decreased by 10%. Staffing, management, and supervision had an increase of 17%. Recruitment, selection, and promotion maintained no change. And also officer assistance and support did not have any change. As for community engagement and oversight, there was a 2.5% increase. And implementation and compliance assessment and enforcement, there was no change. Now, when we jump into IMAR 15, we still maintained 100% for primary compliance. We went up to 99% secondary and went up to 70% operational. So there was an actual, for secondary compliance, there's an actual 20.7% increase. In operational, there's a 12.9% increase. But we're gonna break it down into the categories. For use of force, we actually had an increase of 38%. Specialized unit retained no change. Crisis intervention, there was an increase of 11% compliance. And policies and procedures, there's a 9% increase. For misconduct complaint intake, investigations and adjudication, there was a 14% increase. Staffing, management, and supervision, there's a 60% increase. Recruitment, selection, and promotions remain with no change. And also officer assistance and support remain with no change. Community engagement and oversight, there was a 16% increase. And the implementation, compliance, assessment, and enforcement retained no change whatsoever. At this time, I'm able to answer any questions that you may have. And then also in the event that I'm not able to answer the questions, you can also contact the Professional Standards and Accountability Bureau, and their address is apdcompliance@cabq.gov. Is there any questions that I might be able to answer for you?
Have there been any killings by police this year?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Yes, this is John Comstock. Have there been any killings by the police, Albuquerque police this year?
Any killings?
That is correct.
Okay, do you mean officer involved shootings? Yes, there have been
involved shooting resulting in death.
Yes.
Yes, there have been some OISS officer involved shootings this year.
Okay, could you elaborate?
I do not have the exact number of how many we had this year, but I know they are under investigation, but I cannot go into so much detail about them because one, I'm not personally involved in investigating those cases, but I know they are currently in investigation phases.
Okay, about how many have there been this year? Do you have that, or is the commander going to give us that information?
I do not know the exact number. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
So somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Kelly sent out the April report for internal affairs, both the Force Division and professional standards. I did post those two reports on a link, and I will send the link to anybody who's attending by Zoom tonight, because I will have their email address and I'll send that out. And you can take a look at that. And I think what we can do is we can find out if those monthly reports, January through April, are available on the APD website or on the city website for CPCs. And if they're not, we can get them and I can provide a backup archive of those. I try to make it easy to find the critical information that people typically refer to, and that sounds like a good resource. We'll find out where those reports are, get them online someplace, let you know how to access them, and then you can do the number crunching. And I thought that they were quite comprehensive for what I saw in April. And I think you sent those.
The reports come from the CPOA director every month. So before the CPOA meeting, a couple of days before, we get those reports so they can discuss them at the meeting.
And that's a good place to find that information. Log on to the city website, find out when their meetings are, and then ask to join as an observer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So are there any other questions or comments for Lieutenant Gomez? Kelly, do you see any in chat?
We have no
You said there was a decrease in the misconduct complaint intake, and I was wondering why you thought that happened.
I do not have that information as to what exactly occurred to have the decrease. The presentation that I provided was actually given to me to present. So I do not have personal knowledge of what exactly happened there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the attendees right now? I see none.
Okay, well, we thank you, Lieutenant Gomez. And I'm sorry, when I'm speaking, I should probably talk to the owl here. So
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you. So our next item on the agenda is Crimes Against Children presentation. Is Commander Vega also logged in?
This is Sergeant Tara Juarez. Unfortunately, Commander Vega had something come up and wasn't able to attend this meeting this evening.
Okay, well, we'll press on and with your presentation then.
First of all, I'd like to apologize. I don't have a PowerPoint or anything to put up for you guys, but I do understand there was some questions in your guys' last meeting about child abuse and crimes against children. I can give you some yearly statistics that our unit is currently investigating. So the Crimes Against Children unit does investigate all felony allegations of like child abuse, child neglect, child homicide when it involves a family member or a legal guardian. So my unit consists of 7 detectives, and I have 2 civilian employees. The glue that holds my unit together is Miss Laura Chavez, who is in this meeting. She is our CACU coordinator / civilian supervisor. Our current cases that are assigned on average per month We average about 28 cases assigned to detectives every month. We've had 109 cases assigned this year. We have closed approximately 130 cases, and that's the reason the number is a little bit higher than assigned numbers is because that was the caseload that carried over from 2021. We carried over 174 cases from 2021. So we're closing an average of 33 cases per month. And the average the average crimes against children's unit detective is carrying approximately 23 to 25 cases at any given time. Right now, we work closely with CYFD. We work with AllFace, which is the facility that does all of our forensic interviews for our children. And we also work with Para Los Niños, which does like the medical forensic interviews, sexual assault exams, and things like that for our children. We're hoping that we can increase our detective caseload. Unfortunately, just like I think every unit within our department is short on people, whether it be in the field, whether it be the crimes against children's unit, whether it be the homicide unit, we're all pretty short. But we're hoping to increase our detectives at least by one more. We're not sure exactly when that is going to happen. I am going to let Miss Laura Chavez kind of talk to you guys a little bit about SCI referrals. And SCI referrals are our statewide central intake, and that's how we get a lot of our referrals for, child abuse, child neglect, allegations of abuse, those kind of things. She has kind of the specific numbers about how many SCI referrals that our unit gets each month, actually each day. So I'm going to go ahead and let her discuss that with you and the relationship, how CYFD deals with those SCI referrals as well. Laura, do you have microphone yet? I don't think her mic is working.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, great. I phoned in. So yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting us to attend tonight. I do apologize for the blackout screens. Our computers that we have don't have cameras on them, so I do apologize for that. So as Sergeant Tara discussed, we have a relationship with SCI. It's the statewide central intake office within CYFD. These reports come from the general public, teachers, coaches, anybody who's not only mandated reporters, but just concerned citizens that are worried about children that they see maybe in the streets. We get reports from people that are shopping at Walmart and they see little children left in the vehicle alone and attended in the hot temperatures, from, just kids out on the street alone, 3-4-year-olds they're finding daily just walking the streets. I'm not sure. I feel like that's our latest trend going on for some reason. CYFD reports come in 24/7, 365 days a year. There's no break on that. I probably review approximately over 300 reports a week. Last year alone, just in Bernalillo County, we had over 15,000 reports of abuse and neglect come through our office. And the total for the state, I believe, was right about 45,000 reports. So it's a lot. We do have the majority of the reports are neglect reports. Some of these reports are screened out by CYFD and nobody investigates them because it doesn't meet CYFD's criteria for whatever reason. Like I said, I get these reports. If a report comes in that I feel meets our criteria within the police department to warrant a welfare check or a investigation, then we do open that up for the detectives or the field officers to step in and help these kiddos. The summer's coming in. I know, was it Sandra Perez or from last month's meeting?
Yes.
She she did have a few questions. I don't know if she's here today, but I know her concerns were about summer coming up, and you know how we're going to be able to keep the children safe. There is a commercial that comes out, I believe it's like twice a month. It's the Pound Safe commercial. It's by the Pull Together campaign. I noticed that whenever that commercial does air, our sky reports go up probably by 30%. I don't know that a lot of people have the knowledge of this hotline, and I think it's important to get that information out there so anybody could report. And then, of course, you know, a lot of them call just 242 COPS or 911 as well. There is on the Children, Youth, and Families website, there is what's called the 360 annual report, and it's a state fiscal year. And there's a lot of stats on there if you guys are curious about what all they investigate and how their different divisions operate. That's all in there. It's a really good website and a good report to look at.
So this is Sergeant Tara Juarez. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Laura.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, and the detectives are real good about if anybody does request training, whether it be through the community centers or the schools, other city agencies, the detectives go out and they do that training as well.
So Laura, I have a question for you. Why do you know what's going on with children wandering on the streets and walking by themselves and unattended? What's the situation here? What's going on with the parents?
Well, drugs are involved with some of them. Other reports I've read, once field officers go out, the parents have to go to work and they don't have anyone to watch their child. That was another reason. Or they're inside sleeping and the kids wander off. But I don't, and a lot of it, well, all of it is neglect. You know, they're just not paying attention to the kiddos, and the kiddos see a way out, so they leave. But it's really, you know, we all know that's just so dangerous.
Totally agree. What an absolute mess. I mean, it's just like the parents, I'm sorry, really don't give a shit.
Unfortunately, there are that group that doesn't. CYFD does get involved in those situations. If an officer is called out to a child who's found by themselves, they immediately call CYFD to take custody of that child if they're not able to find the parent.
Right.
So, Sergeant Juarez and Ms. Chavez, were you able to take a look at those questions that Sandra had on the YouTube link that I sent you?
So the questions that, unless I missed it, it was her concern was about the summer coming up and how are we going to keep the children safe. I think that was her main concern.
Okay, you were able to listen to that short excerpt on the YouTube. So, Sandra, do you have any questions, comments, suggestions that you'd like to offer?
I don't know if this statistic would be on the CYFD website, but now that you had said about the children wandering in the streets, is child trafficking / human trafficking, are those stats up at all this year?
So as far as the trafficking, that is investigated by the Attorney General's office, and also there's a task force, it's the FBI task force which consists of APD, BCSO, AG's office, district attorney, and they do handle those type of cases. So I do not have numbers for you on that. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I can tell you in reference to the human trafficking, a lot of that is going to occur more towards the cities or the states that border, like that border Mexico, unfortunately. So we don't see as much of it as, say, like El Paso does. There was a couple other things I just wanted to give you guys for statistics wise. So in 2022, we have had 8 child deaths. That's a horrible number, but I can let you know that 3 of the deaths were medical related. 3 of them were teenagers who overdosed. 1 was a suicide, 1 was a co-sleeping. We have not had any reported child deaths, like a homicide by a parent or guardian this year. And one of the things that the Albuquerque Police Department has implemented several years ago, Sergeant Luchetti had, I guess you could call it a task force, but it's a field officer that is certified in the Child Abuse Response Evaluator. So they go through 32 hours of training on how to handle calls in the field that are related to children, whether it be a child abuse, a child neglect, anything to deal with a child. We have specialized officers in the field that responded to those. This year we were able to, in the past, we were only allocated 50 officers for that. In April, we ran another training and we were allocated another 50 officers. So we actually are up to, I believe it's just above 80 field officers and 4 sergeants for the child abuse response evaluators. They're called the CARE officers, and they are specialized in how to take those calls with children or with juveniles to make sure that, CYFD is contacted, to make sure that, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, so we can get, these children taken care of and making sure that they're safe in our community. So that's a real positive thing for the Albuquerque Police Department. I think it'll help a lot. As Laura mentioned, the summer is coming up, so the amount of people that report do go down because a lot of our reports do come from the school settings. So just in general, if you see, it's Albuquerque and it's 90 to 100 degrees in the summer, if you guys see a small child out walking with no shoes on, or they look like they haven't been bathed in days, or, they look malnutritioned, you can always just do pound safe and do an anonymous report and call those in. So those are just some things that you might want to look out for. The schools and the parks still do, in the summer months, they still do free lunches at a lot of the parks and a lot of the schools. So if you reach out to your community, you can let them know as well that these children still have an option for lunches. Because I know a lot of kids, the families just don't have the money for food, and that's when they eat, is when it's at school. So the summer months are hard for these children, but the schools and the parks in all area commands still offer free lunches to families.
Sergeant Juarez, I'm not familiar with Pound Safe. Can you explain that number really quickly?
I think Laura could probably explain it a little bit better, only because she's the one who does all those reports. That she looks into all of the reports that are sent to her. So I'll let her explain that one for you.
Can you repeat the question, please?
About Pound Safe?
The pound, if they wanted to report, just to be dialing pound SAFE.
What exactly does that number connect to? Yeah.
That number, what does the number connect to? Is that what you said?
Yeah, what is it all about? I was unaware of the program myself.
Oh, okay. So Pound Safe will lead you to an operator who takes the report of abuse and neglect. There are a few questions they ask. Actually, not a few. There are many questions. I mean, down to like, what school? Do you know what school the child goes to? Are there dogs in the yard? Are there guns in the home? A lot of times just a concerned citizen will not have that information, and that's okay. So they take the report based off what you tell them. They're all certified operators that work, like I say, 24/7. They'll ask for if you know the name of the parent, the names of the children, any date of birth you might have, addresses, ethnicity, and they will ask the name of the person calling in the report. This you can call in anonymous, which I don't prefer that, only because if a teacher's calling in a report saying that the child told them, you know, Uncle Johnny's touching them inappropriately, it's important for me to know that that came from a teacher or a credible source, because at that point, a credible source would give us basically the go ahead to assign the case to a detective right away, versus a non-credible source, say somebody anonymous is calling it in. At that point, we don't know who it is. You know, is mom and dad breaking up? So mom's trying to get back at dad. So she's making these accusations, because unfortunately we do see those reports as well. So at that point, with the anonymous source, then we have to send out field officers to talk to the child, and then kind of put the child through some unnecessary questions that they may be asked, you know, 4 or 5 times. If it's a credible source, we get it assigned and we get the child to the safe house to do their interviewing there. And it skips through all the process of talking to, you know, first disclosing to the teacher, and then the teacher tells the counselor, and then the counselor asks the child, and then the counselor tells the principal brings the child in, asks the child again, you know, and then here's law enforcement asking again. It's just like this long drawn out process. So after the child, if you could imagine, being asked this question 5, 6 times, by the time they get to the safe house, they may just say, oh my goodness, okay, nothing happened, you know, it's a lot. So we try to cut out all those middle people and get them straight to the safe house to do their interview with the professionals who are, you know, very well at doing their job. So, I mean, at that point, so you call in a report. So Sky has a protocol. They're going to either label that report as an emergency, and with the emergency, they have 3 hours to get to that child. A P1, they have, I believe, up to 10 hours to find that child. And then P2s, they have up to 5 days. And then a screen out report is a report that they don't feel has anything to do with the safety of the child. Now, CYFD, the reports that they take, that they accept, has to do with family involvement. So the parent, guardian, or household member, and uncle, they have to be some type of relationship, because I see often they screen out reports because the perpetrator is not a parent or guardian. But that's where we come in. That's where we get these reports, we read over them, and then we figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to handle those reports. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then once the report's made, they take it to their supervisor, they review it, and then that's when they give it their category. And then they decide to do whatever they're going to do at that point. But I do get all the reports to kind of have second eyes looking over them at any time.
Mike, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Speak up loudly.
Okay. Laura, I believe you said you get around 300 reports daily. Is that correct?
That is weekly.
Weekly. And of those 300, how many do the police end up getting involved with?
So including field officers, because a lot of these reports do come from field officers as well. gosh, I've never really thought about that, but I would say maybe 30 to 40%.
Okay, thank you.
So CPC, Kelly, do we see any other questions?
There are no other questions.
Okay, so CPC members, do you have any questions or comments, thoughts? I want to share something myself, but I want to give you the opportunity first if there's something weighing on your mind. Okay, well, then I will say something. I pull a lot of grandpa duty. My two youngest granddaughters are with us quite a lot, and I have worked quite a lot, both with them, but also community members, to watch how children behave. I talk to parents at Costco, ask them how old their children are. I try to connect with them on a personal basis. And if I were to see, I'm just saying this, if I were to see a child wandering down the street, or even in Walmart, I saw a child walking down the aisle. I thought that he was following an adult in his family, but I walked close enough to him to see that he connected visually with an adult who turned around and said, "Hey, come on over here, you're getting behind," to make sure. So we as community members, I would suggest that we all develop those kinds of personal awareness of the people around us and care for their well-being. Take an action. You don't have to be berating parents for walking fast and losing track of their child, but make sure that they get connected. So it's something that we can do, as well as throwing it onto Crimes Against Children detectives or the schools or field officers. So just my suggestion that we all take some personal responsibility. I would like to get back in touch with both of you to see if there's some sort of training that we can probably facilitate through CPCs for just regular family community members who'd like a little bit more training on what to watch for, how to respond to situations that seem troublesome. So
if you just send me an email, you know, about maybe some dates and some times. We do have a presentation that my detectives will go out and present to the community. If you just give us dates and times and a location, I'm sure we can make sure that happens.
Okay, I will see what I can do to coordinate something like that and find out what interest there is out in the community. Absolutely. And I hope that Sandra will offer some thoughts on that.
Before we end, real quick, I wanted to let you guys know, there was a question asked earlier, how many officer-involved shootings we have had this year. We have had 5 officer-involved shootings. They are all under investigation, so we can't go into details about them, but I did want to let you know that year to date, it's been 5.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No other questions or comments from anybody? Nobody raising their hand among the attendees? How many attendees do we have right now?
We have 13 attendees currently.
Okay. And that might be a result of summer and people going off on vacation and
us starting a little rocky.
Right, and the fact that we're doing an experiment tonight.
Right.
So if there's nothing else for Sergeant Juarez and Ms. Chavez, we'll go ahead and press on with other things. And
we have a question.
Go ahead.
How many OIS resulted in death?
Unfortunately, because they're all under investigation and I'm not the investigating officer, I cannot answer those questions. And until the investigations have been completed, I don't think they're able to give you those answers. I just know that there has been 5 this year.
And that would be officer-involved shootings?
Correct.
That's all we have.
Okay. So it looks like Commander Langwood is going to be unable to join us. I offer my apologies. I take responsibility for a computer breakdown, not being able to share revised minutes for October, January, February, March, April. So I take full responsibility for that. And as I had said to the CPC members, I'm looking for the dates that you're able to join a planning meeting in a week or so to talk about that and go over that material. So since Commander Langwood is not here, I will take just a little bit of extra time to talk about the proposed recommendation that I had put on hold for a while, and then Commander Langwood said, how can I help you? And that sort of brought it back to the forefront. So I'm going to just read what I prepared. So Commander Langwood has recently asked how he could collaborate with us, CPC, and the community at large to develop any recommendations. CASA paragraph 268 says that APD shall work closely with the community policing councils to develop a comprehensive community policing approach that collaboratively identifies and implements strategies. So keep that word as collaborative strategies to address crime and safety. So not all safety matters in APD engagement are crimes in law enforcement. They have a broader responsibility. So address crime and safety issues. And to foster this collaboration, APD shall share appropriate information and documents. And here's a critical phrase for you, John. Provided adequate safeguards are taken not to disclose information that is legally exempt or protected from disclosure. So cases under investigation are protected from disclosure until the results are determined. So in the past, some CPC draft recommendations have addressed issues that wouldn't fall solely within APD responsibilities, possibly requiring support of other city departments. So the easiest one to talk about is ACS, Community Safety Department, but there's solid waste, Parks and Rec, code enforcement, and so forth. And that creates a dilemma. Who's responsible for taking the lead if we recommend something to APD that involves other agencies and departments? And what is their authority to manage the efforts of the others? So there's let's just say, a difficulty in making a recommendation to APD that engages other departments. So I had postponed presenting a recommendation early in the year that might eventually require broad support of not only APD, but other city departments, as well as Bernalillo County and state agencies and departments. For example, New Mexico State Adult Protective Services. I had engagement with them. So essentially, this proposal, this recommendation that I was working on would provide victim notifications similar to those for domestic violence, DV, victims and Commander Langwood was going to offer some thoughts on that. He gave me some good information, but we'll catch him at another time. So the motivation for my developing this recommendation for such a system arose from two separate cases in the Mark Twain neighborhood where there were repeated life-threatening incidents. I'm talking life and death situations. One case began after the 2020 general election with somebody threatening to kill people for the way they voted. The second case rose to a crisis level. I remember 9:20 p.m., February 19th, 2021, and it required multiple 911 calls. I'm talking on the order of a dozen calls over weeks and months. And in that case, the offender currently is in MDC's psychiatric acute care unit, has been there for 5 months for the most recent incident. This happened 4 houses away from my house. So rather than describing these cases in detail, I'm simply suggesting and asking community members to work in a collaborative working group to gather, consider inputs from community members, other CPCs, not just the Southeast, but to talk to other CPCs and see if they have similar kinds of concerns and recommendations, and the Southeast Area Command. So there are 2 goals from this proposal for a working group. It's not just CPC members, it's community members at large and other CPCs. Number 1, to listen to all perspectives on the issues, goals, and possible solutions. And number 2, to keep APD in the loop so that they don't feel blindsided by an unworkable proposal. I mean, I can come up with stupid ideas all the time, and I don't want to offer that to them without gathering information from lots of people who know lots of different things that I don't experience. And this approach would satisfy those requirements of CASA paragraph 268 that I mentioned earlier. And our approach, I'm glad Maria Wolf is here tonight. Yes. Maria has 2 thumbs up for ECHO. Our approach will work hard to embrace Albuquerque's public safety ECHO model, that everybody has something to offer, everybody has something to learn, and everybody can participate in successful solutions. So if you're interested in joining this effort, please contact me, and Kelly, I'll let you type in my unpublished phone number here and in just a moment. And our goal is to discuss the initial draft recommendation at our next CPC meeting on June 16th monthly. So I've got it sort of fleshed out. I have some background documents that I will share with anybody who offers to join this. And any discussions that I have, I will try to post on YouTube so other community members can say, hey, I watched what you said on Tuesday, and you need to think of the following things. So this is going to be an open book, process for everybody who's interested. Otherwise, you end up with just my brain farts. So with that, we are.
I don't quite get it. I haven't been coming to these meetings, so I guess I'm behind the curve. But could you give me? Is there a possible example you could give of where your proposal?
Where it would go? Okay, so every morning I wake up, and so do several of my neighbors, and check on the MDC website to see if the perpetrator is still in jail. It would be nice that if this person were released, that somebody who was a victim would be notified.
like the homeowner. This person broke into a home. I won't say what he did, but it was really gross. And he was picked up later that night and went into jail. We'd like, if he gets released by MDC, so it's not APD, it's Bernalillo County, would have some system to notify the victim of an assault or break-in or car theft. Let's say, let's make an easy example, although there's some HIPAA privacy issues here. If he is released and, for example, there's a call for service and APD goes out, they would at least say, we encountered this person at this date and time at these cross streets. Not an exact address, but if he was on the west side, I feel safe. If he's around the corner from me, I'm going to be watching for him. He threatened to kill one of several of my neighbors. So it would be nice if there was a call for service and he was encountered, that APD would say, bingo, and it would just be built into the dispatch system somehow, the reporting system. So ACS gets called out because this person has some drug addiction induced mental health issues. If ACS were called out, I don't want to know why they were called out, just that they encountered him in roughly this part of town at this date and time, so that we know that he's not around. He would fly over our neighbors' cinder block walls from yard to yard. So, and he thinks he's the ninja. So he was arrested by state police 5 blocks away from where he broke in. So anytime he's in the system as a violent offender, dangerous to his neighbors, that there would be some system to notify the people who have already been affected by him. And we could develop this in a, we call it 0.8 beta system, where it's strictly APD. APD tells us we arrested him, he's in jail now. So at least we know he's in jail, we can check every day. Beta, 0.9 beta might be getting Bernalillo to notify the victim that he's been released. And so we gradually build this system where people who have been victimized and threatened by him would at least be able to collaborate. And I will say this for my neighbors. There were about 14 different households on 3 different city blocks with about 30 different people. They did not want this man shot. They wanted him to get help. I am really, truly amazed at the bravery of some of my neighbors who walked up and said, and his name's Tommy, that's his nickname. Hey, Tommy, how would it feel if you came over here and had a drink and tell me how things are going? Maybe my neighbor says, how would you like to go over to Caseman to talk to the doctors over there? I mean, there was such a mix of compassion, concern, protectiveness. I mean, we have had some very tense times because of this. We want him to get the kind of help that he needs.
I take it he lives right near there. He has a house there or something?
Not anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, his mom and dad's home was sold, and he's broken in a number of times.
Okay, so I think Samuel wants to make a comment. We have a few comments in chat.
Oh, absolutely. I'll shut up.
All right, Samuel.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm understanding, Mike, what you're trying to say. So pretty much you're trying to say if we pass like a recommendation, and this recommendation is out of our hands, like to have like a process to be able to find someone to satisfy the recommendation? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm just confused. I'm sorry.
I'm currently having a little bit of trouble hearing. Maybe if you speak closer to your mic.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I think it's because my headphone is dying. Let me get on my phone. Give me 1 second.
Continue talking.
Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, I just want to clarify what you were trying to say. It's pretty much that we passed a recommendation, and this recommendation is out of APD's hands, like to have some type of process or some way to find someone to satisfy this recommendation. Is that what you're trying to like talk about?
There have been past recommendations that were recommended actions that were outside of APD's control, and APD didn't quite know what to do with it. And so what I'm trying to suggest is that we work with Commander Langwit and any of his officers, any community members and other CPCs, so that they can understand the issues and ask questions like you are. So I guess I've lost my train of thought there, but I could write it up and then bring it to the CPC when we talk about it and we vote on it and send it off to APD. But I'd much rather it have a deeper look at it from various community members and CPC members. More collaborative than just me writing something and then presenting it for a vote.
Okay, I see. And the reason I wanted to clarify that, and thank you for that, is because when I was part of the the CPC for the Foothills, we had passed a recommendation that was out of APD's hands, way out of APD's hands. I don't know if Kelly remembers, but we had passed like a recommendation to get like a bus stop like temporarily removed from the new community center up on Winona, and it passed, but we couldn't find a resolution. And I don't know if we ever found a resolution, but I think Kelly worked really hard to find like some type of solution or something, but I don't remember. And that's why I just think maybe if we invited Bob into this conversation, because I remember he was really involved into this, he might be able to give more insights, because I do believe that happened at one of our meetings.
Kelly, do you want to go ahead and say something?
Yes, the Foothills Council did make a recommendation to move a bus stop, and we sent it to various agencies around the city. They never acknowledged it, but somehow miraculously a couple of weeks later the bus stop got moved. So I don't know if that was the Foothills. I'm assuming it was, but we got the result that the Foothills was looking for. They also made a recommendation to the state on keeping a better eye on liquor sales outside of one of the mini marts there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened with that one, because we didn't hear any more issues from the mini mart up there around Foothills and Central. Maria Wolf also says these might be ideas to bring to the MCI Metro Crime Initiative started last year with multiple stakeholders from city, county law enforcement, prosecutors, justice, courts, reentry, and various treatment providers. And just as a reminder, we do have our liaison, David Walker, to sort of help us with these issues that go outside of the APD wheelhouse. At this point, we're just itching to give them a shot at something, but we haven't made a recommendation in a while collectively to 6 Foothills. So we're ready to do that at any time. And Susie wants to ask, what about presumption of innocence and civil rights issues, which are good questions.
Susie, are you talking about the case that I was talking?
No, I'm just talking about if somebody is put in MDC and they are let out, if if they haven't been charged with a crime and convicted of a crime, and we're telling the neighborhood, beware, this person is out, like where's the presumption of innocence in the fact that whoever is saying this person is a menace or a criminal or whatever you want to call it, like that concerns me.
And I appreciate the input. That's exactly why I want this to be a collective, collaborative development, because I've talked to the officers at the block parties, and they said some of this you might need to go to the state legislature to address some of these issues. But I did send out privately the link to all of those background, and take a look at that, that video.
Right. I saw that. And as far as, you know, I as you know, come from substance use disorder background, and you like, trust me, if there was a way for people to be forced to get help and to get clean, it would have happened by now. And people do have civil rights, and we can't make them go to treatment or to mental health issues, which was the issue last Friday. We were out all day on a SWAT call out for somebody who had a mental health issue. And it was somebody who had 2 weeks prior been arrested and sent to DC and come back home. So people do have civil rights, and we need to be very mindful of not labeling them and not criminalizing them. And so I just think, you know, I think it's not going to be a really quick process, discussion, community meetings. And I just think that we need to be really mindful about labeling and criminalizing certain types of behaviors.
And I agree. That's the kind of discussion and input that I'm hoping to encourage, because we have all different kinds of perspectives and experiences and values. So thank you. Kelly, do we have other questions?
Sure, there's nothing else in chat at this point.
No chat, no. Well, I'm wishing Commander Langwood well this evening. I guess what I'm going to ask, if there are no community comments, I'll ask the question. We know a lot of the things that didn't work here from about 5:40 through 6:10. So we've learned a lot tonight. Questions, comments from the community, the people here in person. What worked, what didn't work? How do you think we might be able to fix it?
I have a question. So when you said that this person jumped from wall to wall, and when the officers are called out to crimes against children, what's the priority on that for the cops to arrive or APD to arrive and get that situation under control? So as to not that person who is allegedly committing a crime might commit another crime in the process of that.
Jose Briones is on. He might be able to answer that for us.
Is he still on?
So Jose, we're going to drag you into this, just like Kelly dragged me into the Northwest last night. I'm not sure I quite
I couldn't hear what he was saying.
So the question, Jose, is, let's say you have a call like on a crime against a child, but then you start receiving other calls from neighbors that there's this guy flipping through their backyards and just jumping fences. Like, I think his question was which call would take priority, or how do you guys determine which call takes precedence?
and you said, I could barely hear you too, but the second call, you said that somebody jumped in the fence.
So how do you guys determine the priority of your calls? Like the calls that you're gonna like go out and, I think that was the question.
I can tell you a little, I don't want to, you know, we really want to help this man. But the 911 calls, he had broken and entered against a restraining order into his parents' home and then the home that was sold to somebody else. He was trespassing. He broke it and entered. The police were already on scene when he goes flying out the back door into the next neighbor's yard. So it's not a case of, you know, what are the priorities? They were there on scene. And I suppose if they had gotten a call that, oh, there's just been a shooting over at the Smiths 3 blocks away, they probably head to Smiths.
APD does have a 4 or 5 tier call process, correct?
It's 5, yes.
Yes, priority 1 through priority 5. It just depends on the call. If it's an immediate threat, type or property would make it either a second.
You're breaking up a little bit, sir.
Mike, maybe we should have somebody from the 911 call center come and do a presentation. They've done that in the past. I'm sure that would be a good presentation for the community to understand.
Especially, I think, priority of calls for service.
And with the categories, I didn't know there was no difference. That would be enlightening.
Yeah, I know that I talk to neighbors all the time who complain that, look, there are 5 officers down the street and I'm on hold for, you know, so I think we should have, I can't think of her name, the dispatch.
Erica Wilson. Erica Wilson.
Yeah, come back and give a presentation sometime.
You have a question on it?
Well, and I'm sure Angel will tell you the same thing I do. I know, like I said, last week we were on a SWAT call out and there were probably 25 officers there and there were 35 calls on the CAD holding, some of them priority 2 calls. So I think, so if we don't have enough officers, there's not a lot that can be done, unfortunately. And I'm sure Commander Langwit will tell you the same thing. I've heard him say the same thing, you know, unfortunately, you know, they do what they have to do.
Can you all hear me?
We were there for probably 9 hours last week on that call, that one call.
I think we have a comment from the audience here.
Yeah, John Comstock, you know, one of the problems I'm having is that I cannot read the names of the people who are pictured up there on that screen. And the print is just too fine for me. Maybe if I had binoculars, I'd be able to read them.
Okay, well, one thing that we can try is you've got the digital projector. I've got one right down there as a backup.
How can over on the computer though, okay?
I think you're talking to somebody on his side. Yeah, Jose, you have your hand up?
So anyway, maybe you could just tell me who are the members of the community council?
I'll send that to you by email. In fact, I'll send you the link. You can go to the city website and we're all listed there.
Okay, but how many of those that were up how many?
Can you see that? I mean, we got, if it's not on the screen, it's a lot bigger, but.
Yeah, but, okay. How many were attending in all tonight, Mike, of the council members?
We had 7 of our 8 council members. And so right now, the panelists, there's 7 of us right now, and there are 12 people attending. Jose, I see Amir Chappell. Amir was going to provide some information in conjunction with Commander Langwood, but I think we should probably rethink that. I can get in touch with you, Amir, and we'll rethink that because the commander's not here. So, so there are 12 attendees.
Okay.
And 7 panelists on right now. So right at this moment, 19 participants. And there really isn't much that we can do if you want to see somebody on video, or if you just want to read a name, like Jose Briones.
Yeah,
So, you know, there's really nothing that we can do about that, other than perhaps you can bring in your own laptop, hook up to the Wi-Fi, as long as you turn off your audio.
Yeah, I don't have a laptop, so.
A tablet?
No.
Okay.
I've got a phone.
You might not, we'll have to try that sometime. I'll try logging into one of the other CPC meetings and see how readable the people's names are, because I've done it on the phone as well. So, okay, so that's an issue. There are all pros and cons to in-person. One of the cons, the downsides, is that we have to get out of here about 10 till.
Right. Susie said she had a couple of community announcements. And really quickly, Loki Mathis says on the last issue, it is up to the supervisor to ensure officers are not milking calls. So.
Okay, Susie, go.
Let's see, first off, since Jose didn't bring it up, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that next Wednesday, the 25th, is Coffee with a Cop, and we're actually hosting it at the Center for Peace and Justice. I know that it went out on the Nextdoor app, I think it was. Yeah, the Nextdoor app. And I know that Commander was looking to see if it was on the APD website. I'm not sure. Just so everybody knows, we're at 202 Harvard Southeast.
What are the times?
From 9 to 11.
9 to 11.
Yeah.
Susie, where was the location again?
202 Harvard Southeast at the Center for Peace and Justice.
Peace and Justice.
Yep. Yep. Let's see. I also wanted to bring up that the Saturday, the 4th, the New Mexicans to Prevent Gun Violence, the District Attorney's Office, and La Mesa Presbyterian Church will be hosting a gun prevention awareness event. Let's see, the New Mexicans to Prevent Gun Violence, the District Attorney's Office, and Mesa Verde Presbyterian Church. And we can get all this information out. They will be just hosting an event. They will actually be doing part of what they do is turn guns into garden tools. And so they'll be doing that in person. They have drawings for garden tools. They have gun locks that they're giving out. They are doing free drawings for gun safes. They've got a taco truck coming. And so I would encourage people to try to make that. And then The following Saturday is the first annual Guns to Gardens National Buyback Day, and it's like 25 cities across the United States are doing it. I know that we've worked with APD before. The district attorney's office again will be participating in that, and it's an anonymous exchange of guns for gift cards. And that will be Saturday the 11th from 11 to 3. Oh, I'm sorry.
About the June 4th event, you forgot to mention the most important thing.
Oh, what?
There's gonna be a taco truck there, but the tacos are free.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes, the whole event is free. Yes. Even the raffle tickets are free.
So that Sunday, June 5th at Wilson Park, a bunch of us got together along with Commander Langwood, and we're gonna have a barbecue from 3 to 7. We're calling it Sunday, and we're trying the summer for the kids from those 3 schools and that whole area on a good note, you know, because summer the violence goes up. So we're hoping to have resources out there and a bunch of other stuff too.
So Susie, did you get all your announcements?
An hour and a half.
So yeah, yep. I was gonna do Angels too, but thank you, Angel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, the June 4th, what are the hours of June 4th?
It is, let me look. It is from 11 to 2.
Okay, thank you.
So I'd like to add that one of the things I want to talk about in a week or so with the CPC members planning meeting is getting some of this word out, and I've been working hard experimenting with Google Documents Drive, and I'm going to hit the enter key right now. I created this URL, tinyurl.com. It's easy to remember. I don't have to remember when you were trying to connect, and I said to go to the city website and this big long string like this. Tiny URL, CPC-Southeast-this-week. And every week I have short links to things like this. And Susie, if you would email those to me, I will put those up. Same thing, community events. So I'll get those things. And John, I'll send you the link to that. Anybody who's joining tonight, I will follow up with an email next week to remind them of these things. So thank you, Susie.
Oh, Susie, one more thing. What was the date for the Coffee with the Cop at the Center for Peace and Justice?
The 25th.
Thank you.
Yes. And speaking of tacos, Taste of Nob Hill is this weekend. Early bird registration still open tomorrow for those of us who eat food. All right. That's from Maria Wolf.
Taste of Nob Hill.
Taste of Nob Hill. Yeah.
What's all being featured?
Yearly events. The chefs come up with all kinds of good food.
Oh yeah. Because if you can't tell already, I love to eat.
All right.
Okay, so maybe a quick query of the CPC members. I did hear from Archie, and I'm surprised he didn't log in. He said he wanted to be doing it by Zoom, as did Ron. So tell me what your thoughts are about hybrid meetings. We'll see what kind of response we get from the community. But how about the CPC members? It's more convenient, isn't it?
It's more convenient, but it's more personal like this.
We like each other.
It's more convenient at home, but.
So we can talk about some expectations, perhaps, about the duty and the in-person meetings for our hybrid, recommendations on what we can improve. You know, John probably will, what we should do is have a seat closest to the microphone for people who want to talk so that it's easy to understand.
So are you gonna go to purely in-person meetings maybe? That would be a lot easier.
I tell you this, several of us on the Southeast were pushing for some virtual kinds of engagement for a long time. And we advocated for Zoom meetings 2 years ago and got enormous pushback. Given the environment today with people's concerns about COVID, I don't think you're going to get a packed room for this.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever do a purely in-person meeting.
I mean, but a hybrid version, kind of like this young man right here, he doesn't have a laptop. So like for him, it's good for him to come here. I think hybrid would be the way to go because I don't think Zoom's ever going to go away anyway. So.
Well, the argument that we made 2 years ago is there's the exact opposite. A young single parent with 2 kids at home, 2 part-time jobs, a car that they don't want to go out at night. They don't want to leave their kids sitting at home alone. There are a lot of people out there in the community that have a cell phone, smartphone, and they can participate. I've been logged in to a lot of them by cell phone.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you don't have a laptop or a tablet, you can come here.
Yeah. Because all I'm saying is you spend $1,000 on that thing, we gotta use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My wife was pretty perturbed when she says, what's this $1,000 charge on your credit card? Well, when they did the test. So, okay. I'm not going to blab anymore. Right. There's nobody else to offer anything.
Staff wants to go home, right?
Yeah. We're out of here. Thank you guys for opening your doors to always. See you next month. I gotta take this guy to eat and get him home.
Shake hands.
Should we officially close it?
Yeah.
Let's call it to a conclusion, adjourn the meeting. We don't have to. Yeah. Robert's Rules of Order, you don't have to have a vote to say we're adjourning.
We're adjourning.
So we're adjourning.
Have a great evening.
Take care, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
I was on that meeting last night.
So you're working with Angel?
Yeah.
Oh, and I was gonna go out on Thursday with him, and he says, I can't go